channel. I know it's been a very long time since my last video, like a year or something like that, I think a bit over actually. But I'm back and I've decided to do a new video. But before I start, I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone who has liked and commented and subscribed and just viewed my video. It's just incredible the amount of positive feedback I've gotten back from all of you guys, and I just cannot thank you enough. It really just warmed my heart and made my day when I saw it, and it's just beautiful. So thank you guys so much. My last video was about Farmwork, and that's the one that got such beautiful feedback, and I decided to do another one that's from a different point of view, and that's why I decided to invite my boyfriend, Richard. Hi! to come share his story about his experience with Farmwork. But I think that there is something missing. Ah! Pizzas! Awesome.
Alrighty.
Okay, let's start from the beginning. When did you first come to Australia?
February 2020, so about 2.5 years ago now.
Pre-COVID crew?
Just, yeah. Like 1 month before everything went crazy and the world stopped turning and flights were cancelled and all that, so just made it in time.
And what kind of farm work have you done while you've been here?
Lots of different farm jobs. Some of them just for a week or two here and there. The longest ones I've done would be on a lychee farm. I went there 2 years in a row, and banana farm for a few months. Other than that, I've done avocados, pumpkins, passion fruit, a whole load, almost every fruit and vegetable you can imagine. And a couple of weeks of fishing as well. So lots of different farm work, yeah.
How were your 88 days and 6 months of farm work experience?
My 88 days were a little stressful because my original plan when I came here was to start doing farm work as soon as possible. After like a couple of months, come here, chill out, travel around a bit, have a bit of a holiday to start with, and then do some farm work and get that done soon and relax afterwards. But because of COVID, that kind of messed things up and traveling was difficult, and I remember a time when farms had all their borders shut and they wouldn't let anyone, that wasn't already working there onto the premises, and lots of these companies just weren't bringing people in and hiring, so I couldn't actually start farm work until roughly 6 months after I came here, rather than kind of 2 that I was thinking. And 88 days, if you can't work it out, is about 3 months of farm work. So it meant I didn't have that much time to complete it in. And if you can find one farm to do all of your days on, it's a bit more, a bit less stressful, yeah, because you sort of know each week how many days you're doing, and it's sort of, you can just consistently add it up. But I was in a working hostel near Cairns, and I was working on sort of different farms all the time, and sometimes it might be a couple of days 1 week, some weeks it'll be the whole week. And so adding up my days, it wasn't like 4 weeks of real time became 4 weeks worth of my days. It was kind of a bit mixed up, so it ended up taking me about 5 months to do 3 months worth of farm work.
Oh wow.
So I just did it in time, and then also applying for the visa was a bit tricky because you have to give information for all the farms you've been on, which was about 10 different farms, so I would advise trying to find one farm if you can, guys.
You don't want that kind of a headache in your life. Out of all of your farms that you worked on, where did you enjoy working the most and where the least?
The most, definitely the lychee farm. Beautiful place, really nice farm. The work isn't too laboursome. Some of the farm work is really, really tough all day long, working out in the sun, no shade sometimes, and day after day that can be really, really, really tough, just physically demanding. But the lychee work is outdoors, and the place it was in sort of central East Coast, Sunshine Coast, it's not too hot, you're not getting up to like 40 degrees, it's like a nice kind of 30. And like picking the fruits and processing the fruit and stuff like that, it's not too low down, it's not on the ground, so you have to bend over constantly. So just a nice balance of outdoor work with your hands, getting to like experience the weather and being on a nice farm, but it's not like backbreaking, and the farmer was really, really nice. We're friends now. We still like keep in touch. We went on like a fishing trip together, and he's a really good guy, and it's just a lovely place to work. So that's definitely the best. The worst, there's maybe a couple I can think of, but a lot of the bad ones I didn't stay for very long at all. So I won't mention those, but I did work on a banana farm, also around Cairns, for around about 3 months, and that was really, really tough. Very hot. Lots of days were around 35 degrees, and I was working outdoors all day, having to carry like a ladder in one hand and a bag full of like equipment and stuff in the other hand, walking up and down in the sun through rows of banana trees, and have to like stop and climb up the ladder and like wrap some plastic around the bananas and quickly run on to the next one. And they were the farmers were, it's like a big farm, doesn't have that family vibe like the lychee one did, very commercial, they don't care about you, you're just a number. And they were really pushy with how much you had to do, like pushing. And you'd work really, really hard, and you'd maybe do 70 trees in a day, and they're sort of telling you like, oh, we need 100. You got to work harder.
Oh wow.
And that's really, really tough. I was drinking like 6-7 liters of water every day, and I was still just constantly dehydrated because you're just pouring the sweat from like 7 a.m. for the whole day, breathing in all the dust. So that was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say that banana farms are one of the worst places where you work? It's really tough work. Did you know about it before, or did you just find it out when you're working there?
I'd heard mixed things, but I was quite desperate, because as I said, I was kind of running out of time, so I didn't really have the luxury, and I also can't drive. And if you can get a license before coming to Australia, do it. It's a big country, and if you can't drive, it's hard to get around, and you're limited with your work options. So I kind of just had to take what I had. I wouldn't advise staying somewhere that if you feel like you're not being treated the way you should be, or if the work is really sort of, you think it's too hard for the sort of respect you're given or the money you're getting for it, then don't just accept that's how it is. Yeah. I've been on farms that have been very fair and farms that have been very unfair, and some they demand as much as they can from you. They'll just push you until you can't give any more, and then others will sort of push you a reasonable amount.
Actually treat you like you're human.
Yeah.
Working for them, but you're still human, and they get that. So
yeah, you definitely stand up for yourself and try some different places until you realise how things can be and should be, and don't just settle for whatever you get. This is a good pizza. I want a pizza.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yours?
Mine's okay. It's okay. The crust is very like crunchy. Plus, I'm thinking, when you're talking.
Like a biscuit.
Yeah. When you're talking, I'm eating the crust. It's like all I can hear is the meat crunching. Talking about valuable information, I'm like crunch. Okay. Back to the business.
Business.
How did you find your jobs? Through Facebook or through friends? I guess.
So during like peak COVID in the in 2020, after those first 6 months in Australia, I was living in a working hostel, and the hostel provides work for you. So the hostel is situated sort of around a whole lot of farms within a sort of 20-30 minute drive all around, and they would sort of work almost like an agency, you know. So you just stay at the hostel, and you pay a little bit more than you probably should for the accommodation, but then they go out and they source work for you. The second lot in the second year was also through another agency. That was the lychee farm, and then from then I've just had contacts that I've built up, so I could just go directly through them.
What did you enjoy about Farmwork, and what did you dislike?
I like physical work. I like working outdoors, and most farmwork combines that, unless you're working in a packing shed. So I like working outdoors, working with my hands, being out in the weather. I love nature, so some of these farms are just beautiful. Some of them you get a real nice sense of achievement, like the lychee farm I mentioned. When you turn up there, these just rows of beautiful trees with red fruit all around it, and sort of slowly through the process of the picking season, you watch it kind of transform into a perfectly fully picked like farm, and you kind of each day you have a little bit more progress. Yeah, I'd say that would be the main positives for me. It's also interesting to see some of these processes, because everybody eats things from these farms, and a lot of people have no idea how certain stages actually happen and work, and what's in how much is actually involved from planting and picking to processing through the shed, and that whole just the whole process. So it's interesting to have that kind of insider experience, sort of backstage to the farming industry. So that's cool. In terms of what I don't like, it can be a bit relentless sometimes with the weather. Perhaps you have a week or a couple of weeks where it's really hot, or perhaps you have a week or a couple of weeks where it's really wet, and often you just have to deal with it and just go out and work in it anyway. So the conditions can, although I do enjoy working outdoors, sometimes that's tough,
Yeah.
I think working on the bigger farms, as I say, you don't feel like you're valued in the same way. Perhaps not all of the big farms. What I don't like. Alright.
Okay. Any tips you would give to anyone who's starting farmwork or thinking about it?
Buy some good boots. Spend a bit more than you think, perhaps. Get yourself some boots that fit you well, because there are days when you are on your feet for 10 hours sometimes, maybe more, and it makes a big difference, Advice. Farmwork advice. To sum it up, I would say definitely get some good boots, and invest in a hat and some decent sunglasses, and make sure you have sun cream. That stuff's super obvious, but some of these work days are really tough, and if you have burns and you can't see properly because you don't have a hat and whatever, it just builds up and gets worse and worse. If you're not happy in your situation, then change it. Speak to sometimes if you just show a manager or a boss or a supervisor or whatever that you're going to stand your ground and not going to be kind of bullied. If you do that, then that could work, and they will perhaps respect it. They may just fire you, but I would say if you're not happy there, then either you need to change it or you need to leave. So if you try and change it and they fire you, well then so what, you should have left anyway.
Yeah, Noah tried standing up to the top mirror boss and that did not end well. He got stuck with the more shit jobs.
So know when to stand your ground. If you're not happy in the situation you're in, then there are thousands of farms in Australia. Find another one. So do it as early as possible. By some decent sort of working gear. Maybe even pick something you're interested in, you know, if you really like strawberries, you know, maybe go on a strawberry farm.
Or actually don't, because after that, just don't like strawberries anymore.
Okay, there's two sides to that.
Well, I have advice.
I don't think I have any advice.
After all of you have gone through with Farmwork, on this, what you have poured out of your forehead, would you recommend doing this?
100%, yeah. 100%. Even if you don't need the money, even if you don't need the days, you know, if you have like a dual citizenship or something, or if you're an Australian, you know, I would say it's still a very valuable experience. Sort of getting, you know, sweaty, working hard in the dirt at that kind of, that very almost early. Can't think of the word. The very kind of base level of like the food industry, and when you go into a shop and you take all this stuff for granted, like
See where it comes from.
it gives you a really interesting insight, and I think the work is quite rewarding, and some days and some weeks are really, really tough, but it kind of challenges you in ways that I think it's hard to find anywhere else. So I think what you get from it is really valuable. And even talking about the banana farm work I did, that was at times pretty damn horrible, I still look back at it positively because I had some really interesting experiences. I think that's another one of the benefits of the farm work, is that you just see things that it's almost impossible to see in another scenario. Some of my favorite memories, you know, some really cool little things happened that just 99% of people in the world won't have been able to experience, you know. I'm not sure perhaps if I would want to do farm work for my whole life as a career, but to do it for a few months, or maybe 6 months, or maybe a year, I think it provides really cool experiences and tests you in cool ways.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything you said. Very nicely put. Yeah, even though like farm work, it sucks while you're doing it, and maybe at the end of it you're like, I would never do this again. It's quite rewarding, and it's definitely worth it. It's definitely a little, in a weird, horrible way. Get out of my video.
No!
Get out of my video. Now that Richard has shared his experience and his story with Farmwork, it's time to end this. We have to finish our pizzas. Richard has only had like 3 slices. I've eaten most of mine.
So much I love farm work.
Sure. Thank you guys for watching, and if you made it through, thank you. We appreciate that, and I hope you learned some more useful things about farm work. If you have any questions, please comment. Leave a like if you like this little cutie that I have over here. And yeah, please stay tuned because I do have some ideas to put on my channel very soon. Hopefully, I'm very excited. Yeah. So, thank you. Okay.
Bye!